What's going on YouTube? It is Texans Takeover back in another video. In today's video, we are back with Stick to the Model, doing an off-season simulator, the Be a GM mode, to see what I would do if I was in the Houston Texans front office. You can see here with the smart suggestions, who they want us to cut. I'm not really a fan of cutting any of these guys, especially none of these just because we just signed them. But Derek Stingley, I think if you convert all of it, and maybe add one void year, you could generate another million. Um, but no, I'd rather just go standard with Derek Stingley. Nico Collins, I think this is a guy that you could use the void years on, and that frees up 14.6. We're not extending Jarrett Patterson. Um, Jalen Petrie, I guess you could look to restructure just standard. It frees up 5 million. Why not? Um, and then I think Daniil, you're looking to extend. And you know what? We'll just pay him this money, and restructure him to save 5.5 million there. Titus Howard, I think you could look to extend or cut or even restructure if you want to. You just have to add the Warriors there, as you can see. But I think he'd be paid like a guard. I think 14 million would be fine for Titus Howard, just because he's not a top end guard. Um, and that does free up a good amount of cap space. Dalton Schultz, I think, again, could be a void year restructure or could just be re-signed. And I think we will re-sign him for about 11. So that's exactly what I'll do here. Aziz, I think, is going to be around 12.5 to 15 million. So it's at 12.5 already. We'll just look to restructure him there as well. Up to 51 million. Joe Mixon going to be cut. I think that's been reported already. Kaimi Fairbairn going to be extended. Fine money for our kicker. We'll do that. Mario Edwards also going to be cut. Will Anderson, you could look to extend this offseason, which I think the Texans will end up doing. And I think if you go extend only, it doesn't change or it shouldn't change the cap space. But for some reason, the cap hit does go up. I don't know why. You can see the differences between the cap hits if you go front loaded, back loaded, all these. But if you do restructure it, it costs 15.4 more, while this one costs a little bit more for some reason. Um, so we will just restructure it and front load it, so his deal gets cheaper as it goes on. Um, and we'll do that, losing about 15 million there, or 10. But you can see the cap hit going up to 20 million there. Tremont Smith can be a post June 1st designation, in my opinion, or not if you want to put it on Jimmy Ward or Justin Watson. I think this frees up more money than Justin Watson does, so I am going to do this, and then we'll find our good friend, or well, Jarrett Patterson as well, going to be cut, in my opinion, to free up that 4 million. We'll find our good friend. Where is he? Where is he's hiding? There he is, Jimmy Ward. Post June 1st designation frees up all 3.3 million. We do lose 2 million next year, but I think the Texans will take that 3.3, and then Justin Watson can just be a regular cut, taking them 1 mil in dead cap space. Jake Hansen again can be cut too, uh, and then I think that's really it. Maybe you want to extend CJ Stroud. I don't think it'd be too expensive. Like, I think it'd be 3 for 90 would be fair. So we'll do that. Takes away 7 million in cap space. Um, and then I think that's really it for this portion of it. You could look to resign Ed Ingram, obviously. Um, and then, some of these guys won't actually make the active roster. We don't know who's in the top 51 or not, but I guess you could do your re-signings here. So we will go for Mr. Ed Ingram wherever he is. There he is. 7.7 is fair. I think it'll be a little bit more, but for the sake, we might as well just do what it tells us. Jared Kingston did get re-signed. It was for 1.1 over 1. So, I mean, doesn't take any money away from us. But um, other than that, I think Naquan Jones can be nope, not franchise tagged. I think he might get re-signed. Thought he was decent for us. That is kind of expensive for him. Um, Gonna let Tommy Townsend walk and look for a punter maybe in the draft or free agency. Derek Barnett, I do want to come. That is so expensive. Okay, we'll do this. I think it'll be around this money, so that's fair. Um, Sheldon Rankins can come back at 7.5. I think it's fair for him, or 7 maybe on a 1 year deal. So we'll do that too, and then the others I think we can let walk, including EJ Speed. So we head over to the trade section, DJ Turner is an interesting one actually, but that is quite a bit of money. Um, 71 and 71. Interesting. Uh, we're not doing that though. I love Michael Wilson. I love Devin Witherspoon. If you could do this, I'd do that all day of the week, but that's not realistic at all. They look to re-sign him this weekend, so we're not going to do any trades. We know Nick Caserio loves to do his trades, but we'll hold off for now. And we enter free agency with 59.1 million to spend. And if you're telling me what we look at first, it is Kenneth Walker all day of the week. Kyle Pitts did get re-signed. Cade Mays, I think, is someone that could come in. Market value at 16 a year. I think if you can get him for 15 over 2, that's very fair money for him. Um, yeah, we'll just take the 16. But yeah, I think we're all the way in for Caden Mays, and I think we're all the way in for Kenneth Walker, wherever he is in. He's right here. Give him a 3-year deal. You can give him the market because, okay, my thinking here is Caden Mays isn't 15 or 16 million a year. I think he'll be 14, and Kenneth Walker will be more like 10. So that's the disparities in contract there. Um, so yeah, Kenneth Walker is going to be a Texan. And then I think you just look for depth pieces other than that. I mean, Rasheed Walker is always an intriguing one just because he's a starting quality tackle, but you get your two big pieces there um, with Kenneth Walker and Cade Mays, who are both going to be starters. Cade Mays is going to be a starting center. Kenneth Walker going to be a starting running back, obviously. We did have a formal interview with Mike Washington Jr., so that's another interesting thing to note. On the defense, you need to look on the interior defensive line. You need to look at the linebacking position, either in free agency in the draft. And then here, your offensive line is pretty much built. I think you're just looking at a right tackle or a left guard, either or, whatever you want Titus to play. And maybe you bring in some quality on the offensive line throughout the free agency as well. I think Logan Hall is someone the Texans could look to bring in just because of his youth and where he went to college at U of H. At 5 million, does he accept it? I'll take that all day of the week. Um, Leo Chanel, I really really like, and I think if the Texans are aggressive in free agency, this might be someone that they look to pursue, especially on like a 1 year, $11 million deal. I'd do that all day of the week. Um, and then I think safety is another thing that you look at. Um, I really like Chris Paul. I like Ivan Pace too. Um, but yeah, I think you look at Javonte Williams went to the Cowboys on a really good deal for them. I think you look at safety here and maybe one receiver. But I do really like Ronnie Hickman. That's someone I would like the Texans to bring in just because of how physical he is. Andre Cisco is going to be my guy, though. I really like the way he plays. So we'll confirm that signing. And then John Franklin Myers, I think if the Texans could bring him in, 11.5, will he accept that? Yes, he will. And then we're left with 4 million left. For some reason, Travis Etienne is that cheap. I don't know why. I think we signed one of Etienne or Kenneth Walker Jr. in this free agent class, though, which would really excite me, and I think excite a lot of Texans fans heading into next year. Um, but yeah, I think our work is done. You can see what we did in free agency. Got quality over quantity. Really bolstered the defense more than anything. Um, and Chanel's going to be able to be a Sam rather than a Mike. And Cade Mays, Kenneth Walker coming in. I think you look to tight end in the draft as well as tackle. So that is why I didn't address it here. And I think they require a lot of money there. So there's that. You do need a punter. So, if you do want to look to the punting department, which you can't here for some reason, you certainly could. I think there's a punter that we look to draft in the draft out of Georgia, but maybe there's some guys you want to bring in. Maybe you want to bring back Tommy Townsend. I wouldn't mind that at all. Um, I really like Jamarcus Ingram actually. So we are going to retain him, um, just as a depth piece on special teams. But we're going to continue to this draft. We're going to go for a full draft, and I accidentally did the speed very slow. So we can just sit there and watch. Carnell Tate goes to interesting. Um, Jeremiah Love falls all the way to 9. Sonny Styles falls all the way to 15. Simpson all the way up That was a lot of Clemson. And here at 28, I think this pick could be a lot of different things. Could be Monter Freeling, could be Caleb Banks. I think with the way we address the defensive line in free agency, that would lean me to shy away from it and go with Monter Freeling. But I think Caleb Banks is special, and I think he's a rare talent. Um, and I think that's something you need to address in this draft. So I am going to go with Caleb Banks there. Freeling goes right there. Ian Etcher goes there. Really hope. Okay, missed out on everyone, and Lee Hunter's still available. So that was probably the worst pick that I could have done. Because now we have to wait for a Pregnon at 50, um, or a Basantis who I like more than Pregnon. Um, I like Max Clare, but all the tackles just went, which is a little unfortunate. Um, so maybe you move Titus back out to tackle, and you go with a guy like a Basantis or a Pregnon. I prefer Basantis to Pregnon, so that is going to be my pick there at 59 or 38. Sorry, rated the 59th best player, which is the Texans' next pick. We aren't going to do any trades in this one. We're just going to go straight shot to really try to improve this Texans team. I think you could look to Jacob Rodriguez, but you did sign Leo Chanel, only to a 1-year deal though, so maybe you want to draft his replacement. Um, but again, I think we need to target tight end in this draft, and I think Max Clare is perfect to fill in that void. And then hopefully Jennings Dunker is available to us at 69, is it? He just gets taken there. Um, you bring in Kenneth Walker. Does that stop you from drafting Jadarian Price? I don't know. Um, you could bolster your safety unit with a Genesis Smith. You could get a backup to Jalen Petrie and a Keontae Scott. You could get a very good linebacker in Josiah Trotter. You could get a true tackle in Isaiah World, but he tore his ACL, so I don't think he's going to go all too high. Um, you could go with the Jake Slaughter here. I think this is a perfect trade down spot, actually. Um, and I'll do this all day of the week. As we wait, and we're here. Big Citrus is available. I think that's easy, unless there's a really good trade offer, which there is. I'm just gonna go with Big Citrus though. I really like the player that he is. And if you look to our depth chart, I don't know if he will pop up. Um, you can see they finally addressed the depth chart to an extent. Like Cade Mays is fully at left guard. Titus Howard now bumps to right tackle, but it should be Basantis there and Cade Mays there. Um, Position disparity, I guess. Keelan Rutledge is here. Oscar Delp is here. We went with Max Clare already, but I really like Oscar Delp. Um, I think Jawar Jordan might be a cut candidate. So if you want to go with the Mike Washington there to be a very solid back, you certainly could. You could go with the Keelan Rutledge if you like the physicality, which I certainly do. I've talked about it multiple times. Um, and you know what? Yeah, I think that's going to be the pick. I think I am going to go with um, Mr. Keelan Rutledge there. I think Traden Stukes is certainly an intriguing option, and hopefully he's available here, which he is. So that's exactly what I'm going to pull the trigger on, wherever he is. He's all the way down at 142. We have 128, so I'm hoping he doesn't go because I really like the idea of Harold Perkins in Houston. So that is what I'm going to do here with the outside linebacker position. So we're going to go back-to-back defense here if Stukes is available to us, which he is, and that's perfect. I really like Jalen Kilgore, but I think Traden Stukes is someone that can play safety and corner or nickel if he wants to in the NFL, and I think he'll light up the combine. Um, and we wait till 165, a pick that we've had for, um, or a pick that we usually have. So I'm used to drafting in this position. Um, and here at 165, I think you could go with the Delonte Capehart. But for me, Pat Coogan's available. I think you still need to improve the offensive line. I feel like I've done a poor job in addressing it throughout this off season. You do have your starting right tackle in Titus Howard, though. You did bring back Ed Ingram. You drafted Basantis, got Cade Mays, got Keelan Rutledge. So you did kind of bolster the unit, but I think you need some depth there. And I think Pat Coogan can play guard or center in the NFL. Um, so yeah, there's that. Hopefully, Chris McClellan's available to our next pick. He's starting to kind of fall, and he hasn't been drafted yet. He probably will be drafted soon. Or I mean, we don't have a pick to like 240 something. So McClellan will go, I bet. I hope not, but he certainly will. I really like McClellan's game though. I think he has true D tackle one size. And there he goes. Steal there for the Buccaneers, who just lost Logan Hall to us in this. But here at 243, oof, I like Chase Roberts a lot. And I think that's someone you could bring in to bolster your wide receiver depth. So we'll do that. And then with our last pick in the draft, I think I really like Nate Borkirkshire. Um, I like Jimmy Rolder a lot just as a Michigan fan. Um, Marlon Klein, someone who's going to go in the top 150. And the Texans did have a formal interview with him, so maybe that's something we look to do to bolster our depth. Brandon Cleveland's getting a lot of formal visits for a lot of teams, so maybe that's something we look to do. I'm going to go Max Bredesen. Why not? I really like the player that Max Bredesen is. Obviously, I have some Michigan bias, but um, as there's three of our guys going right there. Um, but what was I going to say? Yeah, I really like Max Bredesen as a Swiss Army knife. I think he will step in and do a really good job at that fullback role. So that means you could potentially move on from um, a British Brooks or someone like that, unless you want to keep him as a special teams option. But that could be one of the best special teamers in the league in Max Bredesen, and I think that's a really good pick there. You might have wanted to address the edge options a little bit. You do have that 3 million in cap space though, if you do want to address that. Um, you did address linebacker by getting Harold Perkins and Leo Chanel, so it's Toto, Chanel, Alshire, Perkins, and then if you want to get another depth piece, you certainly could. Trenton Stukes could be a safety option. And then why is Kamari Lassiter just buried? But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this off season down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. Peace.